You're listening to the PRO Media Network. The next level in entertainment.
It's time for the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, telling you everything you need to know about the Saints, Pelicans, and a whole lot more.
Welcome. You are now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, and we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fan. I'm Big Q, and on the line via Hangouts, we got DC joining us. What's going on, my friend?
What up?
And as you can tell, DC is a ball of lightning today as we get ready to face off with the Saints training camp 2018. This is Sports Coma episode number 206. That's right, 206 on the podcast, and we covering the Saints training camp on this show. So we'd like to thank you guys for joining us here on the Sports Coma today. We know it's been a while since we're talking Saints, but man, it feels good to get back to the core sport. And of course, we're Saints diehard fans from day one. Grew up with the Saints, learning the Saints, loving the Saints, and now we're here talking about them going into our third season. So we'd like to thank y'all for y'all support. Appreciate y'all for sharing and caring and commenting. As you share your love with the Saints, we share our love with the Saints with you, and all together we are all Who-Dats under the same umbrella. And in this show, 206, we'll be discussing Saints training camp days 1, 2, and 3 for the show. Also, we'll cover other topics as we get right into the rundown, of course, on the Sports Coma. We're going to give you a couple of our lookout players, the players that you need to be aware of that's making noise. Making noise in the Saints training camp. We'll tell you our players. In this show, we'll break out, of course, we always give love to the players, on defense, offense and defense and special teams, but exclusively in defense, as the last few years of defense has really grown by leaps and bounds. We give love to the players.
We could be a top 5 defense.
There you go. Outside of that, we give a lot of love to all of the players. But this show, we're going to give some love to the coaches. We're going to let you know who those guys are responsible for the great changes on the defensive side of the ball. We're going to show some love to the defensive coaches in this episode of the Sports Coma. Also, we're going to talk about the signing of recently signed running back, former Patriot and Giant running back Shane Vereen, who joins the team. He joins the running backs room, and we'll break down that signing with the Saints as they had to let one go to bring one. We'll give that information to you. We'll also talk about players making changes, moving from one position to the other to try to have a better chance of making a team or making more of an impactful play upon the team. We'll talk about a few people that's making moves and making plays at the same time. We'll cover that in today's show. 2 players we're going to talk about, one offense, one defense, one in particular. The light is on our first-round draft pick, Marcus Davenport from University of San Antonio at Texas. The Roadrunner is a first-round draft pick for the Saints. He went through some changes during the offseason to get ready for which is going to be his rookie campaign. We'll talk about his development in today's show, as well as Traquan Smith, who's making moves, running routes, doing everything that's needed to be. He's making some great plays as well. And then we'll give you our injury updates and what's going on with the players, who's getting injured, who's straight, that kind of stuff. We'll have that information as well. Now, let's get right into the show. DC, I know you've been on top of the camp news, man, days 1, 2, 3. Of course, update the people. Talk to the people about what's been going on recently in the Saints training camp.
Well, from day one, Brandon Coleman and Kuman has been out. They also missed day 2 and 3. Basically, day 1, they got out there. They did that thing, man. You kind of getting into the groove of it, getting used to the heat. It's really hot in New Orleans. Like a old lady hugging you with a warm blanket, and she weighed like 300-400 pounds. So it's a lot to get used to. So they're getting used to that. We're still shuffling a few things around, trying different things. Mark Ingram looked pretty good from day one. He had a few runs. Traquan Smith probably made the biggest play of the day in day one. Had a 50, 60-yard touchdown in which he got behind Moses Williams. So that's pretty much it in day one, minus a few defensive plays. Defense played well in day one. Still trying to see what we're going to do about punt returners. Day two was a lot of the same. Traquan Smith made a few plays. Michael Thomas making plays. That is a very interesting battle. Michael Thomas and Marshawn Lattimore, man. Those guys are extremely passionate. And it's like every time they go out there, they trying to cut each other's heads off. So it's a big back and forth with them, too. Like I said, Brandon Coleman and Michael Coma also didn't play. Tom Savage didn't play day one either, or day two. He was sick. He grew up. Andrews Pete was limited. You know, he's coming back from that broken fibula. Alex Okafor has been playing, as well as Tyron Armstead. He's also been playing, so that's great. Anzalone's also been playing too, and Trey Hendrickson's been playing as well. So all the guys that have suffered injuries last year have all been participating, at least in a limited capacity. In the case of Andrews Pete, defense is doing their thing again. The offense is doing their thing as well. So it's constant back and forth from between these two teams. We had a few drop balls on special teams on day three, and a few of them on day one too. So we got just a lot of things that's trying to tighten up in these training camps, man. Just getting back into the groove of it. The biggest play from day two to me was Ben Watson making a play over Anzalone, man. Leaping up, grabbing the ball over him. Anzalone's pretty good coverage linebacker, so shouldn't take a lot away from him. And Devontae Harris also intercepted the pass on day two, so he's showing up and trying to persevere after such a down year last year, getting demoted from being actually on the active roster back to the practice squad. Day three, they finally put the pads on, man, so you got to see a lot more physicality. Undrafted guy by the name of Dan Arnold was all over the place, man. Converted from wide receiver to tight end, and he's just making plays all over the place. Not many big plays, but they just kept constantly calling his name. So shout out to Dan Arnold. He's out there trying to get into the swing of things. Wide receiver Brandon Coleman and Human out again. And also Trevor Durrell actually got hurt today, as well as Tom Cameron, I think that's his name. They both suffered upper body injuries, so hopefully it's nothing serious. Tyron Armstead also left the field at some point later in the practice. Maybe he was just tired, probably no big deal. You had a grueling battle again, offense versus defense, but I would say the offense kind of won today. Even though the defense made a lot of plays, man, they got turnovers again. The defense has committed since day one of training camp, and they want to get at least 2 turnovers every practice, and they've been doing that, man. I think it's very impressive to see they have that type of nasty mindset, as they're calling it, led by Kurt Coleman, who's actually setting the tone in the secondary, and he tries to knock the ball out of people's hands after every play, and Demario Davis started doing the same thing in day 3, so it's good to see the defense actually ticking the offense off. Drew Brees slammed his helmet, overthrowing the pass, and different stuff like that. So it was definitely challenging defense for our number one offense to go up against. Cam Jordan is going up against Ryan Ramczyk, so we're going to see him, I guess, schooling the youngster to try to bring him more up to speed after being a great player last year. And you have Davenport going up against Tyron Armstead. So, and he's pretty much handling him, man. Even though Armstead was able to get a sack today, so in what he called a mauling, Davenport's words, he felt like he had a bad day, but he still was able to get a sack and a quarterback pressure on a bad day. So I guess that's kind of a negative positive. It kind of balances out. And we had a lot of problems with special teams, man. Special teams. Another 2 muff punts, Tommy Lee and Boston Scott. So the 2 front runners, the B-part returners, both muffed the punt. So sure Sean Payton doesn't like that. Day 2, Sean Payton actually missed camp. Aaron Glenn was leading the charge that day. Sean Payton, Pete Carmichael, and Dennis Allen went to Tony Sparano's funeral. Previous Miami Dolphins head coach, well known around the league, good guy, and what everybody says. Nobody says anything bad about him. So rest in peace to Tony Sparano. But Sean Payton returned on day 3, and I'm sure he's pissed about those muff punts. He hates stuff like that. And Traquan Smith, another day making plays, man. This guy made plays again. You know, he actually got behind Marshall Lattimore on the play. I don't think they threw him the ball, but he made a nice catch over in the Terrell Jameson, our rookie, and caught him slipping. So Traquan Smith is the man of the hour in training camp for me. Von Bell stepped in for Kurt Coleman. Kurt Coleman was basically playing start duty the first 2 days, and now Von Bell came out and he got a sack and then a pass breakup, man. He covered Alvin Kamara on a lot of passes pretty damn good. So he's looking like he stepped his game up. I guess that'll be most of the news, training camp news, man, that we got right now. We'll have more in store later. I'm sure the battles are going to heat up. But Kurt Coleman and Von Bell looks to be a great battle there. And the wide receiver battle with Traquan Smith doing what he's doing, that's going to be very interesting.
That's very true, man. We're looking at a lot of stuff with the Saints, and I think a lot of the things pertaining to dealing with the training camp news is encouraging, especially some of the role players having an opportunity to show what they can do as the Saints kind of switch and move things around. Heat is a real problem in the Big Easy around this time, but hey, man, if they can deal with the heat here, they can deal with the heat when it comes late October, going into December when it's playoff time. So if you can endure it now, man, you definitely can endure later. This is where the champions are forged in the fires of Southern Louisiana. But that'll do it right now for the training camp. DC, thank you for that exclusive and very elongated breakdown. We're about to go into our first break. When we come back on the other side of the break, we're going to go into the rest of our Saints-related topics and break down other news as well. So stick with us. You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. What up, sports world? It's Big Q from the Sports Coma, representing the PRO Media Network, letting you know that the PRO Media Network is in a push now on a mission to gain 10,000 subs. That's right, 10K on the subs. And to help promote to get 10,000, the PRO Media Network is not only going to be doing the shows that you love so much about the Saints, the Pelicans, or LSU, but also it'll expand out to bigger stories about the NFL, the NBA, and even include new content dealing with anime, gaming, and even movie reviews in an attempt to expand out its platform. So if you're a fan of the PRO Media Network, the Sports Coma, or the Pelican Post-Game Report, and other podcasts made by the PRO Media Network, please join us in our effort, in our mission to get 10,000 subs. Share us with your fans, share us with friends, share us with family members, and help the PRO Media Network gain 10,000 subs. Peace.
What's up, sports world? This Big Q from the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. Talking to you about the website, theposhlifestyle.com. That's right, poshlifestyle.com. A great website where you can get great products at great prices. They sell organic herbs, vitamins, supplements, water filters for your home, EMF and cell phone radiation protection, healing magnetics and healing crystals, personal protection devices like cell phones, stun guns, and mace sprays, organic deodorants, shampoos, soaps, toothpaste, and more. They also sell 10A grade Brazilian hair. 10A music is available now. All kind of the latest downloadable mixtapes. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to theposhlifestyle.com. That's the Posh Lifestyle, life spelled with a Y, LYFD style.com. Put in the Sports Coma for the 10% discount on your purchase. It's a win-win. So get your mind and body right with the Posh Lifestyle.
Follow the Sports Coma on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.
You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and
welcome back to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys. We talking Saints training camp, man. First segment, DC broke it down, ran it down, and relayed to us days 1, 2, and 3, even through some information that we was going to cover exclusively later on in this segment, but that's okay. Got a couple of little spoilers in there. But nonetheless, we're going to get into it anyway. And one of the top topics we was going to talk about was the running backs room. Of course, Shane Vereen, one of the running backs the Saints had acquired, one of the late acquisitions the Saints acquired to improve the running back situation. Of course, Terrence West was a guy they got about a month ago to come in and kind of replace Mark Ingram for the first month, being that Mark Ingram is suspended for PEDs, but he's out for a month. So Terrence West, former Baltimore Raven back, is here to try to fill in the void, make a name for himself. The Saints didn't stop there. They brought in former Giant and Patriot running back Shane Vereen, a guy known for his ability to catch passes out of the backfield. He also has a little pretty decent run game too with him, so don't sleep on this guy. This guy's actually a pretty decent back as well, and he fits well in the type of Sean Payton system they operate, no doubt. So he's a big addition to that running back room. DC, quick breakdown. What do you think about the acquisition of Shane Vereen as they released Daniel Lasco to bring him in?
Unimportant. That's what I think. I think Shane Vereen was a quality guy in the prime of his career, but it seems like more like a cadet type of role, Travis Cadet, guy that you have just in case you need some extra production when you want to give the other guys a break or if somebody gets hurt. If everything goes well, we won't see very much of Shane Vereen if he even makes the team. I think it's a sign to those young guys that they need to step it up. After seeing them that first day in training camp, I think they went out and signed him. So I think it's more of a sign to those young guys like, hey, look, y'all think y'all comfortable. Trey Edmonds, Boston Scott, like, y'all ain't guaranteed to make this team. You can just keep Shane Vereen. So,
that's right.
It'll be interesting to see going out during training camp to see what goes on in the preseason games. Okay. Would be a major thing for this running back group.
All right, well, let's move to the next topic. We're going to talk about players switching positions, thing that we spoke about earlier. Of course, you mentioned Dan Arnold, who made the switch from tight end. Dan Arnold made the switch from wide receiver to tight end, being at the wide receiver position is so thick and rich with talent that he'd have been a veritable long shot to make it. But now he's a guy 6'5", some say 6'6", 230 pounds, making that change to the tight end position. He definitely has the size to play that position. They are short with Human supposed to be coming back real soon. Deion Wilder is having issues. He dropped the pass a few days ago. He's having issues kind of acclimating, and Arnold is turning it on, making a name for himself. So he's a guy that made a pretty decent player position switch right now. Another guy to talk about is Aloy Kakaha, who's a guy who's going to play defensive end, but right now they're giving him a little linebacker duty, being that he played a little bit early on in his career when he first got here with Rob Ryan and his scheme. Didn't do so well then, but I have more faith, let's say, in our linebackers coach, Mike Nolan, this time around to teach him how to properly handle things. No slight at Rob Ryan, of course, but Nolan's, to me, is a more accomplished defensive coach, and as to say. But anyway, those are two players that's making moves as far as the situation, the linebacker position changes go. And what's your thoughts quickly on Dan Arnold and Kakaha changing positions or switching positions to try to influence or make an impact on the team?
Kakaha's been changed positions, so I don't know. I just really don't have any comments on that. I mean, they had him change positions basically as a rookie. Poor guy never really got to play what he was intended to play, as well as getting hurt. But I think Kakaha has great potential to be a good player at some point if he can just stay healthy. Dan Arnold, man, is very interesting. I hate to see us as Saints when we switch people. It doesn't really pan out well. We always get people to try to play something that they're not. Andrew Pete, basically, we tried to get him to play tackle. He played guard, and then we moved him to guard. And he looks pretty good at guard. So Dan Arnold's making a lot of plays on day 3. So I don't know, man. Maybe this is the one time we get hit on something with that. Wide receiver and tight end. This isn't that much of a change if you're not doing a lot of blocking, other than where you're lining up at.
Right. Well, let's go into our next topic of discussion. We're going to talk about giving love to, love to the coaches. We give love to a lot of the players. We talk about them a lot, but this time around, we're going to give love to the coaches, the Saints coaches, this time specifically on the defensive side of the ball, dealing with the Saints. Of course, everybody knows the D coordinator, Dennis Allen, accomplished with this team and continuing to build this team, the relationship that him and Sean Payton have over the years have obviously been a harmonic relationship since they came back. Those guys work extremely well together, and it's showing on the cohesiveness of the Saints unit, period. I have to give a lot of respect to the defense and how they were to accomplish things. Now, of course, senior defensive assistant was Peter Gunter. He was able to come on, and his wealth of experience as a coach, a defensive coach, is definitely a calming influence in the defensive coach's room with Dennis Allen, as he's the top man. And then you look, of course, we're going to talk about some of the more notable guys in particular. We're going to talk about guys like secondary coach Aaron Glenn, who's really taken the DBs under his wing and have really used his many years, 20-something odd years of experience as an NFL defensive back to translate into what appears to be a very, very, very formidable secondary, as PFF had them ranked as the 8th unit coming in. So this is a major accomplishment for being that the secondary was bad for the Saints for so long. Big ups to them for landing Aaron Glenn and getting him here. Also, Ryan Nielsen is another guy that the Saints acquired from the North Carolina State Wolfpack. He's a guy known exclusively for making big moves on the defensive line. The Saints waited a while when they signed him and got him his energy and enthusiasm working with those defensive players, defensive linemen in particular. It has really shown in the time that he's been here. And of course, the accomplished linebacker coach who used to be a coach, a head coach, used to be a D coordinator, undid it at every level, Mike Nolan, who's really been a terrific influence on the linebackers as well. And the Saints, man, I mean, they have great, really solid coaches that go around along with some of that talent. So speak to me about who your favorite defense influence is on the coaching side of the carousel.
Aaron Glenn, man. Aaron Glenn is a guy that doesn't get talked about a lot outside of New Orleans. Everybody in New Orleans knows. But I think he's a major influence and a major piece that's been around through different defensive coordinators that's consistently helped the secondary to get better after some tumultuous years, man. Of course, when we had the right talent up there as well. I think that's a guy that has a very bright future, possibly as a defensive coordinator or a head coach. I think Mike Nolan had a tremendous influence on our linebackers last year. We basically had the same players, added maybe one, and we had drastically improved linebacker play, because we've always suffered with that for a while.
Right. And then also, to make mention of it, I'm going to say it, the special teams coaches, the change at the special teams level has really shown as well. After the first year under the new change, they had the issues with the kicking and all this kind of stuff, but they were able to get rid of his longtime friend and bring in another coach who's more accomplished, like Bradford Banter, who came in with Kevin O'Dea. And then another really big move the Saints did with the special teams that goes unnoticed by most casual football fans covering the Saints is the fact that the Saints brought in special assistant Mike Westhoff, who was with the team last year, helped to corrected a lot of errors on the special team side of the ball, brought a lot of cohesion, a lot of experience to that side of the ball. Also, he is back this year. It was some word whether or not he wanted to come back. He enjoyed it so much that he is back. He had some surgery, and he is healthy. He's standing on the sidelines with a cane and yelling at the players, trying to teach them the special team under the new rules, of course. So the special teams acquisitions, the players that go along with it, the whole cohesion of the Saints unit must be very much to be happy for and excited about if you're a New Orleans Saints fan. Now, also, let's move and talk about some other things. DC, we talked about earlier, you mentioned it during your camp breakdown about Marcus Davenport, and he had his trials and tribulations against Teron Armstead, and of course Traquan Smith, him getting behind on Marshawn Lattimore, one of those plays. Okay, both these guys are making strides during camp. They have a lot of potential. People really have a lot of faith and a lot of a lot of, I guess I could say, for lack of better words, a lot of confidence in what these players can do based upon what they did in college and how it transfer to the next level for the Saints. So speak to me about those guys quickly. What's your thought processes on how they've been playing in camp thus far and how they'll look to translate moving ahead?
Traquan Smith, I don't think has any pressure on him, honestly. He was overlooked pretty much in the whole draft. He had outstanding numbers over a lot of people and was basically relatively untalked about. So that guy, whatever you get from him, is pretty much icing on the cake. He's second-round draft pick. But Davenport, man, there's an extreme amount of pressure on Davenport to basically be the next Cam Jordan. He's a player made in that same prototype. Definitely has all the skills to be that. So it's a lot of pressure on him, man. It's just the fact that he played at a small Division I school, no pro style, didn't play with his hand in the dirt all the time. So it's a lot of things that he has to learn, basic things, and as well as picking up a toolbox full of pass rush moves. But as you can see, Cam Jordan didn't have a lot of pass rush moves for a while, and he still was very dominant. Davenport basically got a sack just doing the same thing all day, which was bull rush, and it worked for him. So it's a lot of pressure on him, but I think if you just be patient and allow him to slowly transition, if he can't pick it up as fast as we would like, we're definitely going to have everything we expected in this guy.
No, very good, DC, as well. And also like to caution our listening audience to know that we are out and about, we're operating, and we're broadcasting mobily from areas outside of our studio. So if you hear nature chiming in, whether it's birds or dogs or whatnot, know that we out and about covering the Saints and doing what we need to do to get you this information. But outside of that, we got some observations from day 4 that I want to bring in before we end the show. And of course, talking about some of the things that's been happening. Also today, we're going to give a little brief breakdown on day 4 news as it goes right now. Obviously, the Saints, they're pushing for rankings to improve. They've been giving Daniel Yamada, I think you mentioned that earlier, first team reps to see what he can do as well, because the Saints are looking for more of an interior push as it, they kind of egged toward that when they went to try to sign Ndamukong Suh. They were looking for push in the middle, which is just as much as important aside from the angles of Cam or from coming from whether it's Alex Okafor or whether it's coming from Marcus Davenport, outside edge pressure, but inside edge pressure is just as important as that. And of course, Daniel Yamada is a guy that was considered a raw defensive tackle. Since he's come to the Saints, he's been blessed to have a ton of reps, and a lot of people anticipate him moving into that position of providing that interior force that the team was ultimately looking at. And I think Sheldon Rankins will be another one of those guys. But they're giving Daniel Onyemata obviously more opportunities to become to try to push Sheldon Rankins, as some of the reports are indicating. Also, we talk about the Traquan Smith thing as he continued to show great promise for the team. As JT Barrett launched through a deep ball to him on the final play of practice, Smith leaped and hauled in a reception over Justin Hardy. It fired up Drew Brees. He raced over to Smith after the play. So Smith, he may have not actually landed both feet in bounds though, but what a hell of an effort for him to catch a deep ball from Drew Brees and even get Drew Brees excited like that in just day 4 of the camp. So that's a lot to say right there. So keep doing whatever you're doing, Mr. Traquan Smith. Also, the Taysom Hill, we talked about Taysom Hill. It kind of slowing down a bit. Of course, he struggled. He struggled a bit in today's camp too. He was in one-on-one drills. He fired the ball too high for Mike Thomas, and that's pretty high if Mike Thomas can't get it, and then too low for Tommy Lee Lewis to get it. So he had a little struggles. And this
too low for Tommy Lee.
I know. The second year quarterback also threw an interception during team drills as well. Hill pass skipped over receiver's hands, allowing Marcus Williams to snatch the ball one hand. Also, Hill continue to play with special teams as well. That's what his motto is. He's going to make the team, whether as a backup quarterback or a special team, man. He's going to make it hard for the Saints brass to say, you know what, we can do without this guy. So also Peyton, of course, is no indication that the Saints are looking for a kick returner to kind of help out. And of course, he's looking for anybody to kind of step up and play that position. Tommy Lee Lewis has been a guy that's there. Then, of course, Boston Scott's another guy that's getting opportunities to do that as well. Ted Ginn Jr. has been actually thrown in the mix, too, with all of the wide receiver depth. Ted Ginn might get an opportunity to play more special teams, being that they have a lot of depth at the wide receiver position. And, of course, a little talk for you as far as everything else. Mike Thomas brought some life to the crowd. He badly faked out Ken Crawley on a one-on-one drill to make an easy reception, and then he took off to the end zone and flexed his biceps to the crowd. Bo Scott also roasted Crawley on the in-and-out route on 7-on-7 drills. And Breeze found Bo Scott down the sideline for a deep reception if Crawley didn't expect the ball to come his way. So Crawley getting roasted. So he might be back to Ken Crawley before you walk it on the bad side of things. He having a hard day in day 4. A look at some of the players on kick return duty. Arthur Moulette is given opportunity. Even main kickoff return unit, Arthur Millett, Josh Hill, Craig Robertson, Nate Stupar, Justin Hardy, Chris Banjo, Jaron Elliott, Trey Edmonds, Zach Line, and Von Bell. And then the Saints scale back on Cam's usage, Alex Okafor and Cam Meredith. Trey Hendrickson and Davenport received the majority of the snaps on the first team defense. Michael Ola gained snaps on the first team at left tackle. Armstead left practice, like DC mentioned. No indication on that. And then, of course, the rest of the information DC provided. Josh Laribas filled in for Andrews Pete, who wasn't there. Defensive lineman Woodrow Hamilton and Alex Jenkins, the guy that came over from England, he picked up a sack in team drills. Josh Hubb scampered for a long TD reception in the drills. And, of course, DC astutely told you about the Trevin Darrell injury. So that's some of the day 4 information coming at you to get you fully up on the Saints news. So there you go.
That's all new stuff.
There you go. So there we go. That's usually the Sports Coma always here, man, to make sure you get everything and all things that's New Orleans Saints. So and get something else. So listen, check this out, DC. Before we go, I want you to quickly give me one player to look out for, who the Saints fans and the people need to be aware for during the camp.
If you ain't know by now, let me tell you about Traquan Smith. You definitely got to look out for him. He borderline. I think he about 3 strong days like he had yesterday, and day 1. He's 3 more days away from getting a nickname. Because if he keep doing what he's doing, he's pretty gonna be a shoo-in at number 2 receiver. And Cam Meredith is probably going to be that slot guy, knowing that the experience he has with screen passes and little crossing routes, slant routes, and stuff like that. So Traquan Smith is my guy, man. Blow the top off of defense, go up, grab the ball. Physical, but also can be a runner and very tough and tenacious and can catch the ball over the middle as well.
All right, that's a good call, DC. And definitely getting more reps, being that Brandon Coleman is not there, but he's due to come back, according to some reports that we're getting. My player that I want to give a shout out to, tell you to look out for. You
seeing what Traquan Smith was doing, you won't come back too, huh?
That's right.
Trying to be a receiver.
You better believe it. My guy that I'm gonna look out for and take the guys and the fans to look out for is Boston Scott. That's right, the guy from Louisiana Tech. The little guy there, looking good on 7-on-7 drills, playing special teams, doing every and anything. Trust and believe that Bo Scott, if you don't know the name, trust me, you're going to know the game real soon. He's going to be one of those fantastic fantastic offensive player movements that the Saints made during the draft, along with Mr. Traquan Smith. Mr. Bo Scott will make his name known on special teams when the time comes. So be on the lookout for Bo Scott. So that's the two people that me and DC are warning you guys to keep an eye out for. And of course, that'll be it for the end of the show today. We had a 30-minute show coming at you. We broke down days 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the Saints camp. Of course, stay with the Sports Coma as we will cover the rest of the camp and the entire Saints season going forward, all the way into the future Super Bowl that we're gonna be there as well, baby. So for me and DC, thank y'all for listening to the Sports Coma. Remember, sharing is caring. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, and share as we look to move ahead in more Saints coverage. So if you enjoy the show, share it with your friends. If you share it with your family members. Hey, share it with your coworkers, the ones you like, even the ones you don't like. Hey, we'll make them like you. When he say, hey man, we like those guys. They got a lot of life to them. They ain't like them boring other guys that we listen to, and they sound like you're listening to a talking machine. But anyway, thank you guys for listening to us tonight. If you like the show, also donate at our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/the Media Network. Mr. DC, thank you for joining us today, sir. All right, and to all y'all, thank y'all as well, and we'll be back with future podcasts covering the Saints. From me and DC, peace.
Forget ESPN or Fox. Get straight sports talk from the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys.
Thank you for listening to the Pro Media Network, who provides hours and hours of free edutainment to you and yours. If you are benefiting positively from our content, please donate to help us grow our platform by going to www.patreon.com/the Pro Media Network. That's www.patreon.com/the Pro Media Network, and support the true independent artists.
In today's world, children are bombarded with negativity on television, online, and at school. Our kids need to have a positive outlook on life and the world around them. I want to share with you a valuable resource you can use to bring positivity into your child's life. It's the new book, 101 Powerful Children Affirmations, a guide to positive child self-image, from author and dad G.J. Barabino. This is a simple guide loaded with wonderful and inspirational affirmations designed to uplift young people's spirits. This positive and powerful children affirmational is chock full and loaded with wonderful inspirational sayings that will lift your child's self-image to whole new levels through the awesome power of spoken word. 101 Powerful Children Affirmations, a guide to positive child self-image, from author and dad G.J. Barabino. Available on Amazon. Order a copy for yourself, your child's teachers, or anyone you know with children. 101 Powerful Children Affirmations, a guide to positive child self-image. Order your copy today.